Hi everyone, this is Peter and welcome back to Burra Country Adventures. And this week we're not going on an adventure, but we are preparing for some. And what we're going to be doing is doing a bit of a mod in the back of our GWM Canon X. And we're going to be putting in a floor, just so that we've got a bit of a weighted floor there. And also because in the past what we had over here on the passenger side was a fridge slide, and that fridge slide would come out and bring out the fridge out to the back of the door when it was down, and that was really good. The only problem is that fridge slide was bolted to the floor, and when it's bolted to the floor it became a bit problematic, and that is because when you took the fridge out you still have the slide there, and that slide is a bit in the way. So if my wife went out and grabbed some hay and put that hay in the back, we'd end up with hay in the runners of that slide, and that's going to damage it over time. And the other thing is, if you put anything of any weight on top of that, you're also going to damage the slide. So it's going to just make the whole thing quite unusable. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a floor in, and we're also going to have a completely removable slide that actually isn't bolted to the floor at all. It's actually not going to be attached. And it's going to be easy to remove that slide, and that means that when we need to have the fridge in there, we can have the fridge in there, but when we need a full width floor with nothing in the way, then we can actually just pull that slide straight out and make the floor space more usable. So I've already cut the form ply that we're going to use for the base, but we are going to carpet that. And what I am going to do is I'm going to give you all the measurements that we use. If you want to use those measurements, that's great. Please just remember, do your own measurements, make sure. But we are going to carpet the form ply, and so it's nice and quiet, and also so it's just a nice finished floor. And then we're going to put it all back together again. Now, this is not all my idea, what we're going to do today. There are other, oh, it's getting breezy. There are other ideas out there, and one of them that we've got is from Live Work Play, and I've modified that slightly. So if you've got a Ford Ranger, the fella on Live Work Play, he uses it, has measurements on there I believe for his Ford Ranger. So I'm going to put the link down the bottom. He should have some credit because he does really good videos on how to do some little mods, particularly on camper trailers and things like that, which is what I watch him for. And so basically if you've got a Ford Ranger, you might be better off going and have a look at his one. Have a look at mine first. Please make sure that you like and subscribe it, but then please go over and have a look at his if you've got that sort of car. So what we are going to do though is we're going to go through, I'll put the measurements on as I go, and you can see what we do and see how this works and if it might be a great idea for you. So let's get into it. So just a couple of things to make note of before you start and cut the size is that if you've still got these tie downs here in the back, that you've got to make sure you're going to be able to get around them when you're putting the floor in, or if you want to take it back out again. And then also if you've got anything else mounted in here, and I've got a battery mounted back up the top here because I've got this power set up here, and so just keep an eye on things. And the other part is that if you do have a roller shutter like I've got, you're not going to be able to cut this to the full size and just slide it in. It's just not going to work. So if you've got other things in here already mounted, then you need to make sure that you cut your timber in such a size that you're going to be able to get it in. You may have to do it in two pieces, which is actually what I've done. I've actually cut a piece to go up around the battery, and also then I've just made the back section in one piece. Now you could actually split the back section into two. I'm not sure how well that's going to work for the idea that we're going to put in today, but we'll just see how it goes as it is. But it would make it easier to put in and out, and I think you could do that. But just be aware, make sure that when you're making this up that you do it, because if you go buying this timber and you go and buy some ply for it, and I bought form ply because that's what was available to me, and even just structural or good solid marine ply, that's going to cost you a bit. It costs around about $80 to $90 a sheet, and if you use up too much playing around with some cuts, you're going to actually waste a lot of money. So I actually made a template out of some cheap ply that I had and did all my mistakes first, and then I've made up the use that template to cut the form ply into place. So here's my two pieces of flooring, and I'm sitting on top here, on the top part here, that is the part that's going to go up, and you can see there's a cutout there for around the battery. So that's actually about 32.5 centimeters deep, and it's the width that we need to get in there, and that width is, as you can see, 112 centimeters wide. So that the main part. So this is the back here where I'm running the end of the ruler. That's where the tray door is, and this is the very back section of it. So I've done all these cutouts for it, and I've had to make these cutouts. And now one of the things you do have to remember as well is if you're going to carpet this, the carpet is around about 0.5 centimeter, so it's 5 mils thick, and that means that if you're going to have that on each side, that's about 1 centimeter that you've got to make this actually a little bit smaller, and you need to make sure there's some space in there. So while you're working out your spaces, make sure that you take into account the thickness of the carpet, so you don't go gluing carpet on and then suddenly discovering that it actually doesn't fit. So I'm just going to look at these cuts here. So this is at the back. This comes up to 131 centimeters. The inset from the door, that's coming up at 18 centimeters, and I've inset it at 5 centimeters. Then from there we're going to go forward up to where the edge of the wheel arch starts, and so we're just going to measure up from there, and that's 53.5 centimeters. And then I've got a slight little turn in there. You can see I've put a little angle cut, and so that's equivalent to an extra 2.5, say nearly 3 centimeters. Then we've come in, and that brings us in about 18 centimeters from the edge, and this is to go around the wheel arch. And then from the front of this sheet, we're going to be coming back up here another 36 centimeters. So, and at the front it ends up being same as the other the other front cut that we've got. We end up at 112 centimeters here. So the overall length of this ends up being 120.5 centimeters. So that's the measurements. I will try to put just a still shot of that in with some lines on it and actually have a drawing in there for you, so you can have a look. But that's the measurements that we've done so far. And then we're going to have to make a cutout out of here, and I'll come back and I'll sit the slide on there and show you what we're going to do. Okay, so here's our fridge slide sitting in place, and this is where I want to have it sitting. Now, for this idea to work, we actually have to cut a piece out of the floor here. For this slide, it'll actually be sitting down on the tray, on the tub floor itself, and it'll just be sitting there, and it will be held in place by putting some 50 mil angle on the side of each side of this. So I'm going to undo these, put some 50 mil angle on them so that it comes out and will sit underneath this timber. So we have to do a cutout for it. And the other thing is that you're going to see is that when we do that cutout, because I'm trying to keep plenty of space over on the other side here, that you're going to have quite a narrow piece here. And I'm a bit worried about that actually breaking. And so what I've got to help protect that is a piece of steel that's pre-drilled, and I'm actually going to put that in here along like that, and I'm going to drill that into place once I've cut it, and make that more solid. And because this is going to be carpeted over, you're not really going to see that, and it won't matter that there's a bit of a bump there, because that's actually going to be hidden most of the time. It'll be hidden under the carpet, but also it's behind the fridge slide when you've got the fridge in, and I'm going to have the fridge in there most of the time. But when we take it out, it really doesn't matter that you've got a little bump there. So that's how I'm going to make sure that that does not break easily while we're putting it back in and out of the back of the ute. And sorry for the crazy person on the motorbike there in the background. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to cut this out now. I'm going to mark this up and I'm going to cut it out. So. Okay, so what we've got to do next is we're going to put some angle onto the slide rails so that that's actually going to sit underneath that cutout that we've made in the back. So we've got to measure this up. We've got to take these screws that are already here that are holding the rail together. We're going to undo those and we're going to mark this up and then drill some holes through here and just put those bolts back through this. There's plenty of screw left on there to do that, and that's how we're going to attach it. So I'm going to just mark this up and then we'll attach them. Okay, so let's see how this goes. Okay, so that actually fits really, really well. Managed to get that really neat, which I like. Now, obviously the weight of the fridge would actually hold that where it is now, but as soon as you start to slide that out, those two L pieces I've put on the side, the angle pieces, they're actually going to pull out. So my plan is, because I've put carpet right round underneath and I've made sure there's enough underneath it, is that I'm going to now Velcro, glue some Velcro onto those angle pieces so that once you get it in there, it's actually going to hold in place. It's going to stop those slide arms from being able to move forward unless you actually pull the Velcro off. So I'm just going to go and get my Velcro and we'll just try that out. Okay, so we're back and I'd already got some Velcro earlier because I really was concerned that this might actually do exactly what it's doing. So I've actually got some Velcro, so we're going to put this Velcro here. I'm just going to turn the camera a little bit just to help out. So we're going to just attach this Velcro to here. I'm going to contact adhesive that to there, and that should be enough to hold it. It's really just to stop it sliding forward. And of course you only need one side of your Velcro, and you need the hard side, the one with the little real spiky bits, because that carpet, it's not going to move off that. Okay, so once it Velcros onto that, it's going to stick. And because underneath there this is all folded over, there's already carpet under there. So all I've got to do is contact adhesive these on, and then, you know, it should work. Timber here, that is here, which is the cutout of this, so that I can put it back whenever I need to. That will actually fit up the back of the tray there, out of the way, and things can go on top of it if need be. It's not really going to take up much space. It's just going to sit there so I don't lose it. We'll just get some glue and we'll put these into place and then get everything else fitted.
little bit of prep wash on here so you know that the glue's got the cleanest surface possible for it to adhere to. So we're just going to do that and then let it dry. Wax and grease remover if you don't know what Prep-Sol is or prep wash is. So just a wax and grease remover just to really clear that up so that you actually have something, you know, really clean for the glue to adhere to. Same thing as if you're putting on the windows, the windshields around your window. If you go and buy those on eBay or wherever you buy them, and they've got 3M tape on them, make sure that you clean around the surface where you're going to adhere it to first. I've seen a lot of people saying, oh, you know, why do these keep blowing off? Well, it's probably because you didn't clean the surface first. Probably. It might not be, but, you know, and also you might have touched the tape, and getting fingerprints on the tape after you've peeled the backing off it is just going to put grease on it. It's just not going to stick as well. So make sure that you clean it before you use 3M tape. So in this case, we're just going to let these dry to touch dry. And you can do that, like that's actually almost touch dry now, and it does depend on the temperature of the day. You don't want to let it go too dry, but you want it to be sort of just off tacky there. And then we're going to put that one there, and you can see it's gone a little bit yellow coloured, so that's okay. So I'm just going to let that dry for a bit so I don't go sticking it under there while it's still tacky, and we'll come back and put it into place. Okay, so I've gone and I've been having coffee. So now this has been here for a while now, at least 30-40 minutes. So that's not going to stick to the carpet, any of the glue that's sitting on the top. So what I'm going to do now, other than trying to spill my coffee, is I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to push this in, but this time we're going to lift this carpet up a little bit. So, sorry about the camera's going to move a tiny bit there too, because it's sitting on the timber at the minute. But what we're going to do is we're going to push this in if we can. And there's something under there that's just catching on up the back, which is why that's, but as soon as you move it a bit, it's fine. So we push this all the way in to the back, and then we're going to just push this back down. Sorry about that. And now, hopefully, that's going to actually Velcro to that. Those are going to come out, slides stay exactly where they're meant to, which that is doing right now, and I'm pulling on that, and that's not going anywhere. So that's actually going to hold there. So we can put the fridge back, and we're ready to go. So I'm just going to go and get the fridge and whack on there. Going to put those in. And then we're just going to lift this up again, and then I'm just going to whack it in there. Oops. There we go. That's it. Cool. Yep. And then that's just going to slide, hopefully, all the way back in there, like so.
Excellent.
How good is that? And the fridge is back, and that just works perfectly. And not whoops, going to jam my fingers in there, but it works perfectly. Sliding that out, and there we go. So now I don't think you could do this with like a four-wheel drive where there's no door here, because at the end of the day, once this comes out, it's actually resting down on here. It does lift it a little bit, and there's not much you could really do to stop that unless you actually attach this to the floor, and the whole point is that it's all removable. So in the most part though, as long as you're careful, this is only going to come out to the back of it here, so it's never going to fall down or fall off. But if you had a four-wheel drive and you did this and you open the gate and you don't have a tailgate dropping down, then this is not going to work real well unless you've got something to hold this down, which kind of defeats the purpose. So here's the finished product after we've done it. Now I know there's a lot of shots of me doing a few things and it's like a voice talking beside it, and there's only half of me in the shot, but the idea was to show you what I was actually doing. So here's the finished product. We've got two pieces in the back here. We've got the fridge on the slide. So the fridge is completely on the slide there now. I've got the cutout here, which is carpeted, and that is going to just sit up the back there in the tray. It'll be out of the way, but then I won't lose it. And then if we need to take the slide out, so we've got a completely flat base, then we can do that. So that's the best part of this. Now,
The other part is that when we did this, I'm just going to spin around here. Now before, the fridge was mounted to the floor, this slide, and whenever it was actually just a bit too close, the way we had to do it because of the ridges in the bottom, it was just too close to the power box. It was really hard to get to it. This is actually a bit better. I know it takes a bit more landscape over the other side, but it actually gives a lot more space and a lot of air around it. I've also got, as I've said, is some of this cable protector that you can run down the side there. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get the cable, the one that's with this, I'd probably have to pull the plug off, which I might be doing anyway because I want to put an Anderson plug on it. Then it'll just fit in there and not come out. But we'll mount that in there, and that way we don't get it caught on anything. Now, in the past we had this fridge just kind of sitting there with the cable down the side, and a few times the cable actually did get caught in the rails or under the fridge. So yeah, this is going to fix that problem, hopefully. Also makes it just neater, which is nice. So I'm just going to pop this up here and just see if we can get a bit of a better view here for us. And there we are. And just to show you that this does work really, really well, it just slides out. So it's working fine. Now it does tilt a little bit. So that is now running on the back of the, there's a bit of weight down on the back of the tailgate, but it's because it's lifting it a little bit with the weight. But as I said in the past, if you've got a four-wheel drive that is an enclosed four-wheel drive, I don't know, like a Gero or something, then if you don't have a tailgate, this idea probably won't work that well for you. You need something a bit more substantial and adhered to the back, because what's going to happen is that if you've got no tailgate for it to rest down, it's going to tilt further. The more you come out, the more it's going to tilt down, and it will probably lift it up. So you'd have to secure this base somehow, which kind of defeats the purpose. There is, however, some bolts here. So there's actually a couple of tie down points down in here. And what I'm thinking of is actually putting some bit of angle steel on here, on the bottom one, and then making it so that you can actually flip it out like a key that pushes down, and then that'll actually just hold that timber down in place. And you can do that for both sides, and it will quite secure that timber down pretty well, so it's not going to move. So that will be a future little mod that I'm thinking of doing, is just putting a little bit of there. It has to be able to move, so it can be moved easily though. So I've already thought of a way to do it. So it would actually take a little bit of fabrication just to make a little key lock that would lock there, but you could do it, and that way this won't move up as you slide out any at all. But look, it works great. So we've got to tie the fridge down into place. It's not going to move around. We've got a roller shutter, and there's no risk of it flying out anywhere. It can only go up, so far at the top, and it's not going to fall out. So yeah, so we've got more Borough Country adventures coming. This is our new channel, and we're going to be doing these ones a lot of South Gippsland and Gippsland area, but we also have got some adventures from New Zealand that is about to be posted. We go and visit Hobbiton, and that's kind of one of the coolest things you can go and do if you're a Lord of the Rings fan or a Hobbit fan. Both. How can you be one and not the other? And then we're going to go and do a bit of an adventure later in the year, and some of our team, we're actually going to venture to Boston. So we're actually going to do a little bit of American history Borough Country adventures and see what they had over there. And Boston is, if you don't know, is where really the American Revolution and everything started. So Boston Tea Party, we'll go and join one of those and see if we can get rid of the British somehow. But yeah, so we'll be doing that. But between then and now, we've got a few adventures to go to. There's a few outdoor activities around in South Gippsland to go and see, and those activities are kind of a bit fun. They're small town activities, and they're places you can go to that are not a huge drive. If you're coming out of Melbourne, Victoria, then they're not a massive drive to get to, and you can camp in a lot of those areas. So if you're taking your four-wheel drive, and it's not so much four-wheel driving adventures, but there are some quite cool events coming out in those areas, and some kind of strange ones too. So We hope we can provide you a little bit of entertainment with our adventures around. And so we'll see you next time on Burra Country Adventures. And please, if you can, like and subscribe, or that way, whichever way that button's going to work. And please like and subscribe if you can. Thank you.